Hey everybody, Quantum back here again, and in this video I wanted to outline for you what I think are some of the best decks you could be playing for the Water and Wind Festival. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of deck lists that you could be using to be very efficient in getting through this event. At the end of the video we'll also cover how useful and how good these loner decks are in the field. In my opinion, the best deck you could be using in this event is going to be Floowandereeze. Finally, we have an event where this deck is legal. It's still not at full power, but that's okay because relative to what is legal in this event, this deck is still extremely powerful and will be able to win you a majority of games. I have this deck built on my main account, obviously, as this was the deck we used in Ranked Ladder for a long time back last year in 2023. And also I built it on an alt account for this event because it was so cheap to make. But as you can see here, when we change the filter to banished, you can see that there are a couple of cards that we're not able to use, mainly the Dreaming Town and the Advent of Adventure. This is a consistency hit to the deck, right? Not having your searcher, but also this is one of your key follow-up pieces during your opponent's turn or disruptions in order to shut down your opponent's plays. So this does hurt the deck, but it still doesn't make it that much weaker relative to, again, the rest of the field. So as for the deck list, we've got triple Robina, triple Eaglin, double Stree, and one Toucan. You probably want to go a little bit higher on the ratios of Stree and Toucan, like 2 and 2 maybe, since again you don't have the Advent to search. So you want to see these in order to, maybe use some other searcher in order to grab the Robina or Eaglin to hand as you need them. Next up, we've got double Ryza, one Snowl, and one Empen. Snowl is the only in-archetype card that you'll need for this event that is an ultra rare since Advent is banned, and I would recommend you craft it, and the reason why you play that is because Apex is banned. As you can see here, you cannot use the Omni Negate in this event. Now an alternative would be using the Smorg super rare Lord of the Storm, but it's just not as effective as Snowl in my opinion, and this card will help you a lot more, because it's searchable off Eaglin, whereas this one isn't in the Smorg card. This is, but this card will be able to be banished and obtained back with like map and stuff like that. So I don't know what I was saying. Why I was saying it wasn't searchable by Eaglin. Yes, of course it is. It searches any tribute monster basically that's a winged beast monster here, as you can see here, level 7 or higher. But it's now just still more effective being a Floowandereeze card, right? It has a little bit more synergy with the deck. Next up, you've got Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster. You've got one Gold Sark, not necessarily needed, but helps you increase consistency since map is at 1. You've got one of each of the legal pot cards in Pot of Duality, Pot of Extravagance, and Pot of Prosperity. And I'm opting to run one Jack in the hand. So for example, if you didn't want to craft the Gold Sark, on my alt account I don't have this, so I just made a Jack in the hand version of that, basically, where I'm running like 2 or 3 Jack in the hands instead of the Gold Sark, and some other things, because it's a budget friendly option, right? So the only thing I had to craft on my alt account were these Snowls and these Cowries, which we'll get to in a second. But the reason why I don't like to run too many Jacks if I don't have to is because in a mirror match, if you give your opponent a Floowandereeze card, it could be very detrimental, and in this event you're likely going to run into Floowandereeze a few times. It's, like I said, probably the best deck for the event. Next up, I'm running one Snatch Steal. Again, a total option, like you don't have to run it, but taking your opponent's boss monster when you go second and being able to tribute over it is very, very nice. One map, of course, one Unexplored Winds. You could opt to run 2 of these. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. 3 Book of Moon, which I am 5-0 with this deck on this account, but I do think that on my alt I was using Eclipse, and I think that is stronger. I can't even spell it. There we go, Book of Eclipse. I think running 2 of these and 2 Book of Moons is probably better. And if you're going to do this, obviously cut something else, like you may not run one Snatch Steal, but keep it at 40. I'm on double Call by the Grave simply because I don't want to run into Droll to end my turn if possible, because Droll is the only hand trap in this event that stops you. One of the nice things about Floowandereeze is if people are running the loner decks, which do not have Droll in them, but they do have Ghost Mourner, this is the basic, like the best hand trap in the event because it just stops the special summon monster along with Imperm, right? But this card is completely dead against you since you don't special summon, so this card will be a brick in everyone's deck if they're playing it, and in the loner decks that they play against you. Another good reason why Floowandereeze is so strong. I did craft on my main account in my alt 2 Swallow's Cowrie, Did not open any in the couple of packs that I tried, but this is currently in the selection pack, and obviously Konami wants you to play this and craft this if you're going to use any kind of bird-oriented deck like Lyrilisk, like Floowandereeze instead of Advent of Adventure. It's probably why they banned it, but this card is still very good. It helps you dodge Imperm and targeted negates on your birds, which can be very relevant and just helps increase consistency similar to what Advent did. You can tribute like a Toucan or a Stree, ideally on field, not in your hand, because if it's from your hand it won't get banished. If it's from the field it will get banished, and then you can search your deck for like a Robina, right? So very, very strong. What's nice too is you don't have to worry about Nibiru, you don't have to worry about Ash Blossom in this event, and while you do benefit from Maxi being in the format, like I said, if people replace Maxi with Ghost Mourner, you're looking in good shape. As for the trap cards, again, just had one crafted, or I have two crafted, so I'm opting to play Featherstorm. This is basically a turn skip for your opponent if you go first, and will end the game very, very quickly. You don't have to play this, it's just a one of, there's no way to search it, so it's kind of like RNG if you open it or dig into it with a pot card, and it's not really great going second, so you could opt to cut this if you wanted. 3 evenly matched, 3 imperm, and then since you don't have Dreaming Town, you're going to opt to run free range monsters. So you have to hard open this because again there's no way to search it, but you can run 2 copies and it's basically Dreaming Town at home. It does not have the banish effect to Book of Eclipse to field, but it does allow you to normal summon during your opponent's main phase, which is very strong because then you can start cycling through all your birds and your tributes in order to disrupt your opponent with like Ryza and stuff like that. So basically, like I said, Dreaming Town at home. And then because you don't have Dreaming Town, you do have another trap that you can search with Empin in the Scary Sea. And this card is very, very good for this event because, as an example, one card that a lot of people are playing is, I think it's called Discord, that basically shuts off Synchro Summoning. And all 3 of the loner decks, which are Speedroid, Ice Barrier, and Goatee, are all synchro strategies. So if you go up against any of the loner decks, which will be very popular in this event since they are pretty good for what they offer, this card will just shut them all down, right? Because neither player can synchro summon. Obviously you don't care about that, but you just stopping all your opponent's plays is very strong. Well, Scary Sea does the same thing, even to a greater extent though, because while they can conduct up to 3 normal summons, like, it doesn't matter, right? They can normal summon all they want, but they won't be able to combine those monsters into synchros, which is what they need to do for those decks in order to get their boss monsters out, right? So Scary Sea, absolutely critical. Plus this can be recycled multiple times with like Toucan. I think I have a match where I'll show you maybe in another video where I do that in my Floowandereeze gameplay. But overall, a very solid deck. The extra deck doesn't matter. It can literally be 15 random cards or nothing. Well, it can't be nothing at all because you'll need cards to banish for Extravagance and Prosperity, but that's mainly what the extra deck is for, is banishing for the pot cards. So yeah, you can go full commons in the extra deck. It doesn't matter. Overall, a pretty budget-friendly deck. Like I said, the only in-archetype card that you need to craft for this event is Snowl. You don't necessarily need the calories, but they do help increase consistency. You don't need Gold Sark. It's just a consistency card. You can replace it with with Jack in the Hand. I already took out my Snatch Deal for Book of Eclipses, which is just super rares. And then the Featherstorm, again, you don't need to play. You could go with like 3 Jack in the Hand instead of Gold Sark and Featherstorm if you wanted to. So very effective deck in Floowandereeze. The next one I want to take a look at is, I guess you could also say, a little budget friendly. It's a little heavier on the super rares, but not really on the ultra rares, and that's going to be Marincess. This deck is very solid for this event because it has virtually no limitations except for Marincess Wave, which, you know, if Apex is banned, right, as an Omni Negate, the searchable Trap Negate is also banned here for Marincess, which is fair. But in this deck, you can play Drone and Lockbird, you can play Ghost Mourners if you want, but my build is opting for double Mandarin, triple Seahorse, 1 Angler, triple Blue Tang, triple Pascalis, double Sea Nettle, which is a good extender and a way to recycle your water monsters and even your extra deck monsters, triple Spring Girl, double Abyss Shark as an extender, 1 Sleepy Maiden, 1 Raigeki, double Signet Mining. These come in the starter Salamangreat deck, I believe. It's the Salamangreat starter deck that you can get, or structure deck. Double Lightning Storm, again, you can only play 1 if you want to, and put in like a Feather Duster if you have that instead. But you know, you get 1 of these for free in the bundle. Double Marincess Dive, again, 1 Snatch Deal, kind of hit or miss if you want to play this. I'm just, again, putting it in there as a way to steal a disruption from my opponent, but you don't have to play it. Change of Heart also works. And because 50% of the decks are going to be wind and water, most likely, like sometimes you'll be able to Snatch Steal a water monster and use it as material for linking, right? So, you know, good for that. If you steal a wind monster, you know, you could play a Wind Charmer in here as well in order to link it off along with the Aria, which we'll get to that in just a little bit. But I'm also playing double Battle Ocean, 1 Forbidden Droplet. You could opt to play more of this if you have access to them. Triple Evenly Matched and triple Infinite Impermanence. So overall, a pretty strong list. I don't even remember what I just took out of the deck there. Let's just reset it and take a look. But I think I took out a Lightning Storm. Whoops. Yeah, you can take out a Lightning Storm for a Feather Duster. As for the extra deck, you don't necessarily need these Xyzes. You can play 0 Xyzes if you want, because these are ultra rares. This one comes in the Legacy pack though, so if you've been cracking these, you probably have a couple. But we're on triple Blue Slug and 2 Sea Angel, triple Coral Anemone, 1 Crystal Heart, 1 Area, Water Charmer, 1 Marbled Rock, 1 Great Bubble Reef, and then this is really the only ultra rare that's in the archetype that you need to craft, an Aqua Argonaut, I think. Because the trap card is banned, you're not going to play the triangle, which searches the trap, because there's no real need to play any other Marincess traps in my opinion. But this is a pretty effective deck list. Again, a lot of super rares, but really only 1 ultra rare that you are expected to craft here, right? Like I said, you can get away with just the 1 Lightning Storm from the bundle and no Snatch Steal. And if you have them already, you know, put in your Feather Duster, which is a staple card, and something else. And like I said, if you could fit them in, if you have them already, you don't need to craft them. You can fit in 3 Ghost Mourners somewhere. But yeah, overall a very strong deck. Probably, I don't want to say the second strongest deck, but definitely a tier 1 / tier 1.5 deck for this event. Because again, a lot of the things that check Marincess, Maxi, Nibiru, Ash Blossom, etc. are not legal in this event. So Marincess has a lot more of a chance to pop off and combo and get up its boss monster and its negates in the Aqua Argonaut. A budget-friendly option that is also going to be very good as a going second OTK strategy is still Lyrilusc. This was good in the Xyz Cup, and this still remains good in this event. Now, what's different is you do have access to Swallow's Cowrie. So if you have this card or are able to craft it, it does do a lot for this deck. But we're able to play triple Drolan Lockbird, triple Cobalt Sparrow, triple Sapphire Swallow, triple Turquoise Warbler, double Smorgbird at beginning just as a extender. Triple, you could go for 2 as well, Barrel Canary, and then I think you only want 2 Wagtail. You can fit Ghost Mourners into this build if you have them, but you don't have to play these. And then I opted for a couple of Kaijus. Instead of Kaijus, you could go with like Dark Hole, but you still want to play Raigeki, Duster, Lightning Storm. The back row removal I think is a little more important for Lyrilusc than in other decks because it's harder for you to play through that. Triple Bird Call as the extender, 1 Bird Sanctuary, double Swallow's Nest to help again dodge imperms and things like that, 1 Forbidden Droplet, which again just helps you tribute your stuff to dodge negates and while negating your opponent's stuff, which could be strong, double Cowrie, and triple Imperm. What I will say is Lyrilusc does have an in-archetype negate called Bird Strike. If you control a Lyrilusc monster, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of the turn. So this card is basically a Dark Ruler no more within Lyrilusc. Very strong, and it does not limit you from doing damage, so you can still OTK under it, which is nice. The extra deck, I would opt to say you need 1 Recital Starling, so this is probably the only ultra rare in the whole deck you would need to craft, I would say. And then you don't necessarily need 3, but just what else are you going to fill the extra deck out with? Right, nothing really. So put in a couple of Assembled Nightingales. I think you want at least 2, but go for 3 if you can. And that's basically all you need. Everything else in here you'll probably never make and is not really relevant. But yeah, this is a great going second strategy. What I would say is to help you increase the consistency, you could play something like this equip spell, Power of the Guardians, because if your Assembled Nightingale is able to attack multiple times, this will get multiple counters, increasing the attack, I believe. So you could definitely put 2 of these in and helps facilitate you OTKing your opponent. I don't know what you would cut. Maybe you don't need so many of like these things to dodge and to search, but they are very powerful. So keep it at 40 if you can, but these are very good to play. Since Psychic Blade is banned in this event, you could also just play something very basic like Acts of Despair, which just gives your Lyrilusc card like 1,000 attack for like 3 attacks, which helps you OTK as well. But yeah, very, very powerful deck, especially to go second in OTK with, and very budget friendly, as you can see. Almost no super rares, just a couple of Wagtails, and which this card can search the in-archetype Dark Ruler that we just looked at. But in this version, I'm only able to search either Bird Sanctuary or Bird Call, which is the other in-archetype super rare. So, and again, the extra deck is also ultra super rare. So again, pretty budget friendly overall and a great deck. And then the final true ultra budget deck that I want to take a look at where I literally think there's almost no ultra rares that you really need to craft, is Phantasm. So this one is very interesting. As you can see here, very, very basic, just 3 monsters in Megalosmatcher X. You play a Raigeki, a Duster, so again, just staple ultras that you should already have. Pot of Duality. I've opted for triple Heatwave in mine. Again, not necessarily needed to play, but this is a super rare that you can get from the Legacy pack, so you should have these if you just are cracking Legacy packs. Double Pots along with the Duality, so Extravagance and Prosperity. Triple Pacifist, the Field Spell. Triple Torrential. Triple Spiral Battle. Triple Spiral Power. Triple Evenly Matched. Triple Imperm, again, just another staple hand trap. The One of Solemn that you get in the bundle. 3 Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi. And then this Draco Utopian Aura, you basically get if you want to spend 1,000 gems on 2 copies of the Origin of the Galaxy structure deck. But you can also opt not to play this. Just because I have one, I put Iron Thunder in there just as like another version of Solemn, I guess, technically. And like I was discussing earlier, this deck can also play the Discord to stop all of the synchro strategies, and then 2 Sea Stealth attack. So a very budget-friendly deck overall. The extra deck doesn't matter. We just put cards in there to banish with the pot cards, similar to Floowandereeze. And this deck can help lock down your opponent and do enough disruption to slow them down while beating them down for game and getting, you know, the worm token all the time, so you can have like constant monsters on board to pressure your opponent and deal damage. So that's going to do it for the 4 decks that I think you could be using that are pretty good. Before we wrap up this video, I just want to say, if you are planning to play something a little bit more fun, I think these loner decks are great. You know, they can be expensive to craft, and they maybe aren't worth it because you're able to play the loner deck, which already has like a lot of the ultra rares that you would never use outside of this event, unfortunately. Like no one's making Broniac in the ranked ladder, right? So you don't want to like build this deck out like this and then just have it be dead for main play. So playing the loner here, I think, is definitely the better option. You also have access to Ghost Mourner without needing to craft it, and all of the in-archetype cards, usually of which are not going to be ultra rare. I think actually the new one, Mirror Mage, is ultra rare. This one up here, yeah. So, you know, getting 3 of this is going to be a bit of an issue. You already have access to it. And then, you know, Trishula's, the new Lancia, you know, these are ultra rares that you just get access to for free. As for Speedroids, it's kind of the same deal. This is an old deck, nothing new here, but while the main deck is pretty budget friendly, the extra deck definitely is not, because as soon as you get into some of their boss monsters, you start running into a lot of ultra rares. You know, almost everything in the top end of this deck is ultra rare. So, you know, that's like 5 or 6 ultras. Not something you'd want to craft, but Speedroid as a synchro strategy, very annoying to play against, very fun for the player maybe. I don't really play it, so I can't really comment. And then Goaty, same deal. This is a very fun deck, I think, but it is very weak to evenly matched, which, you know, could be played quite a bit in this format. But if you don't have the Goaty deck, I think, you know, this version is good enough. This is not how I would build Goaty personally, but it's good enough to get you the synchro lines that you need in order to decimate your opponent's board and win the game. So yeah, these loner decks aren't bad options, probably worth a try if you're looking to have some fun. But if you just want to straight up win and just focus on being as efficient as possible, I think Floowandereeze is the best bet. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you again for watching. Hopefully this helped you. Quantum is out.